Okay, so I'll try to explain this as best as I can this early AM with a cup of coffee in hand, by the way. Oh, it looks like MJ's got the coffee as well, too. It's a small cup, MJ, but Michael Jordan, his 2311 racing team, I think that's how you pronounce that, along with Front Row Motorsports, is suing NASCAR, alleging an illegal monopoly that stifles competition and harms teams financially. The antitrust lawsuit went to trial in early December 2025 after the two teams refused to sign NASCAR's latest charter agreement, which guarantees race entry and a share of revenue. The trial is expected to be contentious and could lead to a shakeup of the sport. All right, so it's a little bit confusing. Why would they refuse to sign that? It guarantees race entry and a share of revenue. Does that mean they're being greedy or a little bit confusing? And again, I'm not reading the whole article. I'm just gonna like break down kind of the characters involved. I mean, it came quickly to me, okay, but I don't really get into all the soap opera of it and all the drama. And there's this other character involved. You see the article right here. NASCAR owner Bob Jenkins hurt by take it or leave it charter offer made with hours to sign. You see that right there? And no, Michael Jordan and Bob Jenkins are not on the same team, but they are allies in a federal antitrust lawsuit against NASCAR. So that's what we're talking about now. This is Bob Jenkins right here. So this is, there's actually two Bob Jenkins connected with NASCAR, which is interesting. And I might bring that up shortly. But this is the Bob Jenkins in question right here. So this is the full owner of Front Row Motorsports. Again, not on the same race team as Michael Jordan, but allies in this federal antitrust lawsuit against NASCAR. Okay, and Michael Jordan co-owns again 2311 Racing and Bob Jenkins from Row Motorsports. Okay, so I'll read a little bit here and not a whole lot, because this stuff just gets kind of ridiculous and overwhelming. But we can look at that right there. We can look at that Michael Jordan page real quick. So they testified Wednesday for Bob Jenkins, okay, Front Row Motorsports owner, in the federal antitrust case against NASCAR, that he was honestly very hurt by a take it or leave it offer on a new charter agreement that came with a deadline of mere hours to sign this huge document, okay? Front Row, alongside 2311 Motorsports, is suing NASCAR over antitrust claims for the charter agreement that was presented on the eve of the 2024 playoffs and went into effect this year. He said he was out to dinner with his parents and had no cell signal when the charter offer came in. When he finally got phone service, he had dozens of missed calls and texts about the charter agreement and reached out to several rival owners. There was a lot of passion, a lot of emotion, blah, 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 blah. And, it just seems like a bunch of nonsense. Like, I don't quite understand it. I'm going to ask Google another question. Um, why does Bob Jenkins and Michael Jordan not like the new charter agreement? Let's see. They believe it is a take it or leave it offer that gives NASCAR way too much power. Okay. Provides teams with insufficient financial benefits and is a step backward from previous negotiations. Okay, so uh they're fighting for the teams of NASCAR, I guess. That's what I'm thinking. Right? So they're fighting against the man. Good for you, MJ. Both argue the deal fails to meet the team's key goals, such as making charters permanent, giving them a greater share of revenue, and securing a stronger voice in governance. They are among the only teams that did not sign the agreement. Okay, so there's gonna be backlash for sure for this on the world stage for MJ. Okay, and maybe instead of me trying to explain that, I might have could have just played the video, but we're still gonna play the video here regardless. And I just have simple connections that are undeniable with Michael Jordan. Okay, so let's play this. We might play it. There.
A legal battle between Michael Jordan and NASCAR. The antitrust lawsuit could reshape racing as we know it. ABC's Sophie Flay has the details.
Let's go!
This morning, a lawsuit that could reshape the world of auto racing. NBA legend Michael Jordan is taking NASCAR to federal court, claiming it's a monopoly.
If I have to fight this to the end for the betterment of the sport, I will do that.
Jordan co-owns a NASCAR team with driver Denny Hamlin. Last year, 13 of the 15 NASCAR teams signed a new deal with the racing company that determines revenue payouts. Jordan's team was one of two refusing to sign on and accuses NASCAR of restricting team revenues and independence.
13 of 15 teams signed. Remember, Michael Jordan equals 113. Michael, M is the 13th letter of the alphabet.
15 NASCAR teams signed a new deal with the racing company that determines revenue payouts. Jordan's team was one of two refusing to sign on and accuses NASCAR of restricting team revenues and independence. NASCAR insists it's done nothing anti-competitive in building the sport from the ground up since 1940.
Building the sport from the ground up since 1948. Michael Jordan's birthday, the 48th day of the year.
And it says the new deal has boosted payouts to teams.
Even though they try to point out that, we made, some money or we had a successful business, that's not the point. The point is that the sport itself needs to continually change for the better, for the fans as well as for the teams, as well as for NASCAR too, if they understand that.
Court documents claim only 3 teams said they made money last year. And on average, owners reportedly lost more than $2 million per car. Analysts say no matter how this lawsuit plays out, it could bring seismic change to the sport, with 2 teams likely to leave NASCAR should they lose their case. Or if they win, NASCAR could be forced to rethink how it does business. Most other teams say the current deal is working and don't want to see it torn apart. Sophie Flay, ABC News, New York.
I think that's going to backfire on Jordan. And we're going to get some negative stories. Something's going to happen negative for Jordan. Okay, so is this what you've been waiting for? Look at that right there. NASCAR executives return to the stand Wednesday. You see that right there? Look, that's 76 days before Michael Jordan's birthday when Michael Jordan equals 76. This article, look, Wednesday, that's one day after Aaron Rodgers' birthday, right? Great quarterback, NFL, right? Look, Air Jordan now trending at the same time. Don't forget that Jordan Love now is the quarterback of the Packers, isn't he? And Aaron Rodgers has moved on, right? He's with the Steelers, he was with the Jets. Jordan Love, Michael Jordan, Packer connection. One day after Aaron Rodgers' birthday, Michael Air Jordan trending with NASCAR and this lawsuit or whatever that's going on. Chicago Bulls equals 112. Jordan Love's birthday, 112, November 2nd. 11th month, second day, 112. I've pointed that out before. Look at what is added onto this now. This is a 112-page document. Look at that. Bob Jenkins, Front Row Motorsports, testified Wednesday. Hurt by a take it or leave it offer on a new charter agreement that came with a deadline of mere hours to sign the 112-page document. Look, there's that other Bob Jenkins who's an announcer for like NASCAR and Indy on the right. And this is the Bob Jenkins on the left who's involved in this antitrust case against NASCAR with Jordan. They look semi-similar. The dude on the right died. Look at that. When I was looking, I looked up Bob Jenkins NASCAR. The dude on the right popped up. This announcer. And we get this story trending. Bob Jenkins, who's a team owner, and that's him on the left. So I'm like, wait a minute, the dude died. I'm like, look, they look similar. Hold on, look at the pictures even. You get the same pictures on both. Isn't that strange? Look at that on the right there. They have both Bob Jenkins in the pictures over there, but they're two separate people. Look, and then it says death right there. So let's try to pull up the separate pages real quick. Isn't that weird? Again, there's the announcer that died, NASCAR. And then this is the supposed team owner. Now those pictures, look semi-different. But look, they kind of look the same. Other than maybe a couple small facial features. Look around the eye area. So this is the guy in the lawsuit right here. And look, this is the guy that's dead with the same name. And when I look up team owner Bob Jenkins, a page isn't popping up with the guy. Here's a Wikipedia. And look, this says Bob Jenkins' death right here. American television, radio, sports announcer primarily calling IndyCar and NASCAR. And then look right above, Bob Jenkins is the owner of Front Row Motorsports. Look at that right there, which is another Bob Jenkins. So and I click on this Wikipedia here. This is the guy that died right here. He died on Deion Sanders' birthday, it looks like. Prime time. So that could be like a Michael Jordan connection. Looks like he's got the Beyonce birthday. Beyonce B, Bob Jenkins. Look, Bob B. Look, Jenkins has the J like Jordan. I mean, come on, man. If I were to go deeper on that, it would land heavier. I mean, isn't that wild, though? So this is the guy that died. And then let me try to pull up the owner again. And then when I look owner Bob Jenkins, you get that same picture that's with the other guy on his page. and the world is fake, right? So I'm it's hard to determine the difference between the two guys, other than one's a team owner and then one is an announcer that died. Isn't that strange? So back over here, I guess we can open this one up and scroll down here. Isn't that wild? So look, there's that page again right there. Look at that. So we hit with the 112s right there. We hit with the 112s. And look, there they are supposedly again. Kind of look a little bit different there, right? But that picture on the right of the team owner is popping up on the page with the other guy, which is weird. And then the same name, and they're both synced up with NASCAR. One of them is now dead. Check that out, because that 76 days before the Jordan birthday, February 17th, 76 days is the same as 2 months, 14 days. And isn't that interesting? Because that's Valentine's Day. And look, you have Jordan Love again with the Michael Jordan connection. This hits one day after Aaron Rodgers' birthday, right? Obviously, Rodgers and Jordan Love connected to the Packers. And then you get the Valentine birthday, which is 2/14, connected with Love. Remember, Michael Jordan wore number 12 for one game, and it was on Valentine's Day because they said his jersey came up missing out of a locker or something. And remember, this is a 112-page document, like 12. And again, Chicago Bulls 112, Jordan Love's birthday 112, which is 112, like 12. Isn't that amazing? And you get the 214, that's pretty close to the 217, which is Michael Jordan's birthday, February 17, which is, this is amazing. You see that? And again, you see that 76. Jordan's last game as a player in the NBA against the Philadelphia 76ers. Remember M, the 13th letter. Michael, right? 7 plus 6 is 13. Remember, Michael Jordan equals 113. They said 13 of 15 teams agreed to the new charter deal. Remember 15, right? Look at Jordan's birthday, 17th day, second month. 17 minus 2 is 15. And we're rolling. So Wednesday, the executives return to the stand for NASCAR, a second day of testimony. Again, Jordan's birthday in the second month. Look at that. Wednesday, it's the 337th day of the year, which is like 37. Jordan and Chicago equal 37. Jordan with that Chicago Bulls connection, putting the Chicago Bulls on the map in basketball. Now he's making his name well known in NASCAR with this antitrust lawsuit. Him and front row motorsports owner Bob Jenkins. It's a different team, but this antitrust lawsuit against NASCAR, isn't this amazing? You can't deny that. So yeah, man. Just that wasn't too bad, right? Jordan is usually like out of the spotlight. So if there's a story like this where there, it's not like negative on him really, but the end result could have there could be negative things that happen as a result of this. There could be something not that they say isn't connected to this story that's negative that happens to Jordan. And it's interesting that Costco is suing the Trump administration over some tariff refund stuff. That's interesting because Jordan and Trump are very connected in the decoding world. So you got like two lawsuits or lawsuit connected stories trending at the same time. Sneakers, Republicans buy sneakers too, right? Again, I raise the question, who will get, there's something big that's going to happen with Michael Jordan or Donald Trump or both because they're obviously connected. Remember, Donald equals 112 as well, with all the 112s earlier. Donald equals 23, MJ connection. Jordan came out of retirement wearing 45. Trump was the 45th president. The Bulls wear red, Republican red with Trump. We can go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. They're connected. So there's that same energy with both characters. And someone's or both, something's got to give. There's going to be an extreme negative story with either or both eventually, obviously, but who's it going to be first? Something has to give. We'll see what happens. We've been talking about this stuff for a while now. Shout out to you, Richard West. I'm kind of on the Michael Jordan side. I think Richard West is on the Trump. We both probably agree that something's going to happen to both, but I've been paying close attention on the Jordan aspect. Richard's been pointing out the Donald Trump stuff a lot, even though we're both aware of both characters and the energy that's lingering. But man, and you see that Jordan birthday again right there with the 48th day of the year. You know what? They said 13 of 15 teams agreed to the new charter or whatever, and him and the Bob Jenkins team disagree, and they're in this antitrust lawsuit. 13 of 15 teams agreed. 13 plus 15 is 28. Look, the article leaves 28 days in the year. You see that right there? Isn't that amazing? It said Wednesday they hit the stand or whatever. NASCAR execs. And you see, look at that right there. Again, one day after Aaron Rodgers' birthday. That was a great connection. And man, so, there's more stuff there you could even bring out. You see that 13 over there. You see that 15, which we talked of. And you see other numbers right there. So amazing. NASCAR executives return to the stand in high-stakes antitrust trial. You see the Michael Jordan involvement. And then the other Bob Jenkins, which is confusing because there's two in NASCAR, and it's hard to pull them up separately without both of them popping up in pictures. Interesting. Shout out. Until next time.